Let's begin by telling you that the Kano State High Court has adjourned till July 2nd, 2024, a suit seeking to stop the deposed Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, and 4 others from parading themselves as emirs in the state. The court was presided over by Justice Amina Adamu Aliyu on Monday. We'll bring you more on this in our subsequent bulletins. Former council chairman of 21 out of 23 local government areas in Rivers State on Monday, today, staged a protest at various council areas. In Buguma, council headquarters of the Asari Toru local government area, former chairman Onegiyofori George, alongside his supporters, marched through the streets of the town, dancing to songs in solidarity with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. They waved placards with inscriptions asking the police to continue occupying the council headquarters. The pro-Wike former local government area bosses protested in their local councils despite advisory against protests issued by the Rivers State Police Command. At Asari Toru local government area, the protest almost turned violent when some men believed to be operatives of Asari Dokuba's private military company, colloquially known as Amama soldiers, attempted to attack the protesters. Earlier, the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, Rivers State Chapter, had alerted security agencies, especially the police, the Rivers State government, and the public on the consequences of the planned protests by the former local government chairman and former members of the State House of Assembly and National Assembly members in the state. Addressing the press conference in Port Harcourt on Sunday, Algon chairman Prince Ichemati Ezubunwo warned that the protest was a sinister plot to cause anarchy and chaos with a view to destabilizing the governance and creating an excuse to actualize their design for a state of emergency in the state.
We are drawing the attention of the general public against the planned protests by the immediate past local government chairmen, former assembly members, and National Assembly members loyal to the FCT Minister, Chief Nyesom Wike, against the Nigerian police force manning the 23 local government councils across the state. The planned protest is not in the interest of the local government areas and the state in its entirety. Rather, it is a calculated attempt by these enemies of our dear state to paint the state in bad light, unleash mayhem while at it, and to further buttress their inordinate call for the declaration of a state of emergency in our dear state. We emphatically state that we, the Association of Local Government of Nigeria, Algon, Rivers State Chapter, and our people are in support of the police decision to take control and protect all local government council secretariats until further directive on the matter. We want to categorically state that we are not in any way linked to the planned protest, as it is inimical to the progress and well-being of the people of Rivers State, considering the sinister plots by some desperate politicians to take advantage under the guise of protest to cause chaos and destabilize governance in our state. Therefore, we call on all law-abiding citizens of our dear state to discountenance the planned protests and to go about their lawful businesses. We wish to place on record that should there be a breakdown of law and order as a result of the planned protests, the organizers and their sponsors as enlisted above should be held responsible. We want to thank the good people of Rivers State for their continued support for the governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Sir Siminala Efubara, GSSROS, and his administration, which is delivering the dividends of democracy.
Away from that, Nigeria's organized labor has called on President Bola Tinubu to engage in consultations and reach an agreement with its leadership before submitting the proposed minimum wage bill to the National Assembly. The union highlighted that delay in forwarding the bill has stalled the anticipated National Executive Committee meeting, which is expected to include about 300 labor leaders. In his Democracy Day address on Wednesday, President Tinubu announced that a consensus had been reached with labor over the new minimum wage. However, both the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress debunked this claim. The 50 members of the House of Representatives, representing all 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, have appealed to President Bola Tinubu for the release of Nnamdi Kano, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. In a letter dated June 12, 2024, the lawmakers who are from various political parties urged President Bola Tinubu to initiate a peace process to address the insecurity challenges in the southeast. Operating under the banner of the concerned federal lawmakers for peace and security in southeast, the lawmakers requested the president to instruct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, to use his powers under Section 174, Subsection 1 of the Constitution, and Section 107, Subsection 1 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 to discontinue Kano's trial and secure his release. A snake-guarded shrine used to store illicit drugs in Igor community, Benin City, Edo State, has been raided by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, who detected a specially constructed large hole storage in the wall covered with wallpapers and fetish objects. Different quantities of illicit substances such as methamphetamine, Lord, Colorado, and Arizona, all strong strains of cannabis with a total weight of 8.743 kilograms, were pulled out from the deep hole dug in the wall of the shrine building. The Director, Media and Advocacy of NDLEA, Femi Babafemi, who made this known in a statement, said two ladies, Sonia Chinonso and Risikatu Tijani, were arrested during the intelligence-led operation after the big black snake guarding the shrine was demobilized. And to unpack this, I'm joined by the Director, Media and Advocacy, NDLEA, Femi Babafemi. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being with you on the show. Thank you.
All right. And I mean, there's no doubt that hard drugs are a menace to the society. But how bad is this in Nigeria? I mean, help us understand, give us a clear picture of this.
Well, if we have to get the exact picture of what the drug situation is in Nigeria at the moment, we have to go back to the report of the drug use survey report that was published in 2018 that was conducted by the National Bureau of Statistics with the support of United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. The report gives us a picture or a figure of 14.3 million Nigerians abusing illicit substances or that had abused illicit substances the previous year. And that translates to 14.4% prevalence rate. And this figure, that survey was actually conducted for those within the age bracket of 15 and 64, meaning that there could have been people under, where we know as of today that indeed there are people under 15 and those above 64 that are indeed abusing illicit substances. Now, having said that, that establishes or paints a very grim picture of what the drug situation in Nigeria is, because that prevalence rate, 14.4%, that's almost 3 times the global prevalence average of 5.6%. That's bad enough, and we're glad that indeed that really triggered the reawakening of everybody in Nigeria and all the stakeholders to actually wake up to that responsibility of doing something tangible. And since then, especially with the new leadership of the agency that came on board in January 2021, quite a lot of efforts have been put into the fight against substance abuse, either at the level of drug demand reduction or at the level of drug supply reduction.
If I may come in there, you touched on something very interesting. You said 15 to 54 age bracket, most prevalent, people who use illicit substances. I mean, why is that so?
No, the survey actually captured those within the age bracket of 15 and 64. Those are the people. That's the age bracket that the survey actually captured, and that's those are the people accounted for by the survey, and that's where the figure of 14.3 million persons or 14.4% prevalence rate actually came from.
Yeah, I heard you right. I was asking, is there any underlying factors why we have that age bracket, captured as people who use more often illicit drugs?
Actually, globally, it's not just something that is restricted to Nigeria. We know that drug use prevalence drug use is actually more prevalent among our youth, the youth population, and the same thing applicable here in Nigeria. So that's why we have majority of those captured in that survey as likely the youth population. But beyond that, there are quite a number of other factors. Maybe you want to talk about the factors responsible for, the predisposing factor responsible for foiling people going into substance abuse. If we have to discuss that, that's quite a number of such factors, ranging from socioeconomic factors to parenting, that's poor parenting, that's at the family level, to environmental issues, peer pressure, as well as social media, which is another factor, because we see quite a
Okay, just to follow up on what you said, you listed a number of reasons why we have these prevalence in that age bracket of those who use illicit drugs. But then, how is the NDLEA responding to these challenges? I mean, what strategies are being implemented, and how successful would you rate them so far?
Absolutely. When you look at especially let me just bring our strategies on from two pillars. First, the drug supply reduction, and that's the law enforcement angle of our job. That's the area where we make arrests, we make seizures, we prosecute, and also go after the assets of the traffickers and the bearers. All that, I can tell you, in the last 3 years, there has been quite a lot of effort in that regard. We made more than 50,000 arrests, and I can tell you also that indeed, within the same period, more than 9,000 offenders have been successfully prosecuted and convicted and serving jail terms in court, which is probably one of the highest in the world, if not the highest, within a space of 3 years, over 9,000 convictions, as well as more than 7.6 million kilograms of assorted illicit drugs also seized, which also ranks as one of the highest, if not the highest, in the world within that same period. And when you also look at effort in the area of drug demand reduction, because as we are cutting the supply and access to these illicit substances, we also have to face the demand reduction, where we try to discourage people from going into substance abuse. And one of the key factors in this area, one of the steps that the agency has taken, is to put in place a social advocacy initiative, which we call War Against Drug Abuse Social Advocacy Campaign, WADA Social Advocacy Campaign, which was indeed launched on June 26, 2021, to mobilize the citizenry to buy in and take ownership of the fight against substance abuse. That's raising the awareness, and that's where you see officers and men across every part of the country going to schools, going to churches, going to mosques, going to workplaces, going to communities to speak to them, to sensitize them about the dangers of substance abuse, just to raise awareness. That takes care of prevention, raising awareness, because people need to understand the dangers inherent in this. And for those that are already abusing illicit substances, we also have 30 treatment and counseling centers in our commands across the country to also take care of these people, in addition to our call center, where we have mental health experts, psychologists, psychotherapists.
I wish we had more time, but indeed, yes, I agree with you. All hands must be on deck to ensure we eradicate or eliminate illicit use of drugs. Well, thank you so much once again for your time. Femi Babafemi, Director, Media and Advocacy for NDLEA. Many thanks once again.
Always my pleasure being with you. Thank you.
Thank you for staying tuned. Earlier, we brought you news on protests that happened in Rivers State, and we have joining us from Rivers State, and that's the chairman, Rivers State Civil Society Organization, Comrade Enefa George Will. We also have our correspondent on ground there, who is, to give us update on what's happening, and that's Austin Azu. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'll start with you, Austin. We learned, we heard of protests in Rivers State. Just paint a picture for us how peaceful or unpeaceful the protest has been so far.
Well, early this morning, when the NLC and TUC from their joint press conference yesterday, that they suspended their protest. However, some other persons loyal to the FCT minister actually came out and they defied the police order and they went into the protest this afternoon. However, they protested across the 21 local government areas in Rivers State, excluding 2 other local governments. But the protest seems to be very peaceful, unlike what they anticipated, because of the heavy presence of the security personnel across the 23 local government areas here in Rivers State. So at the moment, we have not heard about any casualty from the protest so far.
Well, we understand that organized labor planned to stage a protest today, but then following the orders of the state police commissioner, that protest was, was suspended. What's been the reaction now to these protests happening?
Well, this other protest that just happened this afternoon was a counter-protest. Because of the suspected infiltration, according to the NLC and TUC, that the protests might likely be hijacked by suspected hoodlums and politicians. Hence, they cancelled their own protest. Today now, the pro-Wike were out for their own protest against the decision of the governor. Of course, you know quite well that these other people were angry about the process, that ordinarily their tenure was extended, but due to the governor's interference, they have to, ask them from their seats. So they were still angry, protesting against the decision of the governor. And the situation at this point in time is still at the appeal court, so everybody is still anxious, waiting for the decision of the appeal. But their protest today, goes to show that they are not happy with the process, that they are still challenging it, while they are calling on the governor to revert his own decision.
All right, Austin, thank you so much for your updates. We'll keep in touch with you to see how things pan out. Thank you so much, Austin. Let me now move to our guest, Enefa George Will. If you can hear me, I'll kick off by asking you what you make of the protest that held today, despite orders by the State Commissioner of Police for any protests not to be staged at all in Rivers State. Recall that organized labor in Rivers State scheduled a protest today, but then had it cancelled.
For us, from where we stand as organized society in the state, we must state it clearly that the Commissioner of Police, or even the Inspector General of Police, or the President, don't have the right to stop any protest. Protest is a right of citizens, and they have the right to assemble and freely express themselves. However, the issues for today's protest is quite funny, or the reason is quite funny. And what is it? Persons who spend rather spare legally as granted by the Constitution are going about protesting, and whatever reasons best known to them, they are saying that they are relying on Aminu and Co, who, as far as we are concerned as organized society, are no longer lawmakers. They're relying on laws made by them to continue to stay in power in contravention to the express provision of our Constitution, who says that every local government would have to stay for three years. But we have to say this: it is their right to protest, insofar as it is peaceful and they didn't get violent. But let's look at the issues as they are and put them in perspective. What are the issues? The issues are that the immediate past local government chairman, their tenure have expired. They have served out the lifespan of their tenure, which is 3 years. That is one. Two, elections have not been conducted. And because elections have not been conducted, in the wisdom of the governor, he exercises executive powers by setting up critical committee. That is one part. Three, it is equally the fact that it is not peculiar to Rivers that critical committees are set up. In the state of the Inspector General of Police, at one time or the other, the governors have set up critical committee. In the state of the...
But doesn't that contravene the Constitution of Rivers State? Inaugurating caretaker committee.
No, there are laws. There are laws within the in the provisions of the River State law that empowers governors to set up caretaker committee. But I must say this that it is actually illegal. It is actually illegal to set up caretaker committee. Yes, I must say this. It's actually illegal. Our constitution does not contemplate caretaker committee, and this is a lesson for all of us, to all sides. Elections to local government councils must be conducted before the expiration of the existing council. Now, those who are crying foul today are the same persons who empowered the immediate past governor to set up caretaker committee. Now, today they are crying, and it's a lesson to the current governor. When the current local government chairman's tenure, when he conducts elections, before the incoming local government chairman, before their tenure expires, RISEC and the government of Rivers State should liaise and conduct elections. And these are the issues. Now everybody is crying. But we must say that as at today, elections have not been conducted in the local government. And the governor has set up caretaker committees. I am not saying that it is what the constitution said, but because there is lacuna, the governor has to exercise executive power. And that power can be exercised by the governor and not the House of Assembly. Not in Rivers State, not in Abia State, not in Lagos, not in Abuja, not in no state can the legislature either set up caretaker committee or make a law against our constitution that have said that local government chairmen can only stay for 3 years, can stretch their tenure. The legislature don't the House of Assembly, either in Rivers or any other state for that matter.
Mr. George will. If I may come in here, you said something earlier on. You talked about the rights of citizens to protest, according to the Constitution of Nigeria. Just to add a bit of fact to that, I mean, organized labor in Rivers State, mentioned that they suspect the protest will be hijacked by the fifth columnist, and so that's why they decided to suspend the protest. Now, moving away from that, how do you think this protest impacts the political stability and even governance in Rivers State, looking at the local government levels of Rivers State?
Now, let's put these things in perspective. First, the organized society that first of all declared asking the police to vacate the council secretariat because they cannot turn the state into a police, and that the governor in the interim has after the state executive powers committee. After then, the organized labor equally gave them Monday. And because organized labor and civil society had said that we are going to protest if they don't vacate office, immediately politicians loyal to the former governor of the state and the outgone local government chairman now immediately begin to blackmail us, subtle threats, and before you know, the same Monday, they are now coming out to protest. Even when the original mastermind of the protest for today had called it off. But like I said earlier, it is within their rights to protest. You see, but this particular protest, as far as we are concerned, is mischief. It is mischief because it was intended to cause crisis, it was intended to cause misgiving, and that was when we gave way for them to do whatever they want to do, not because the Commissioner of Police said so. I must put that on record. The Commissioner of Police or the IG or the Governor or the President don't have that right to stop any citizen. But this particular person currently persons loyal to the FCT Minister, who is the immediate past Governor of the state, and persons loyal to the outgone and immediate past local government chairman of Rivers State. As far as we are concerned, it's pure mischief. It's pure mischief. But it's all good for our democracy. But the truth must be said.
When you say it's mischief, what are your facts? I mean, what evidence do you have to substantiate that claim? But then I must thank you so much for your time.
If your tenure has expired, what are you protesting for? Ask them.
We must end the interview on the news now. Thank you so much for your time on the news, Comrade Enefa George Will, Chairman, Rivers State Civil Society Organizations, many thanks once again. The Lagos State government has issued a 14-day removal notice to owners of buildings and structures in the Sango-Tedo area of Lekki and the Okota-Isolo areas. The structures were found to be built on drainage channels, posing significant environmental hazards. Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tokumbo Wahab, announced this directive following an inspection tour of various contravention sites and ongoing drainage enforcement projects in Agor Palace Way, Isolo, Sango-Tedo, Lekki and Ikoyi. Wahab emphasized the government's commitment to restoring order and addressing environmental indiscipline in Lagos. He declared that the state would rigorously enforce relevant laws regardless of opposition. The refusal to comply by basic hygiene management procedures and the lack of adherence to sanitary measures has continued to worsen the outbreak of cholera in the country. Now, while several states of Nigeria are currently battling with a breakout, there are fears that this might continue to spread if measures are not put in place to improve current sanitary conditions in many communities. Marvelous Abomano tells us more.
Cholera is a food and waterborne disease caused by the ingestion of the bacterium Vibrio cholerae in contaminated water and food. We first spoke to some medical practitioners to understand what cholera is and how it spreads.
So it's a disease that is caused by a bacteria that mainly or largely affects the digestive system. And what it does is it gets into the system and then it causes a lot of abnormality in the digestive system, resulting in passage of frequent watery stool.
How long can someone be stooling if you're down with
If you're down with viral cholera, you can be down till at the peak of when you are about recovering. That is when the stool will stop. And
so you keep stooling frequently?
You keep stooling frequently.
Wow.
But the vomiting and the nausea will be within some hours.
So immediately I'm down with cholera. How will I as a person know? What are the primary signs that should let me know that probably I'm down with cholera?
Weakness of the body, vomiting, diarrhea, severe diarrhea. What I mean severe diarrhea? In fact, when you start passing out stool, you will feel like not to stop.
From the interaction with the experts, preventing the infection or its spread is strongly dependent on personal hygiene and environmental sanitation. This means that the open dumping of refuse, drinking water from unknown sources, eating street foods, and overcrowded areas fuel the spread of cholera. A visit to some areas in the nation's capital, Abuja, revealed that all these preventive measures are not being taken seriously, making people prone to the infection. Food vendors were seen selling food in an unhealthy environment, while customers ate food in open spaces. At the Federal Secretariat, an area that houses most government ministries and agencies, workers were cited buying and eating food in open spaces, a situation many public health experts have condemned.
Before you go to a particular point or a particular place to go and eat, you should have known how well the person cook and how the person is good in hygienic control. So before you go to that place, you should have understand how this person tends to prepare his or her food so that it can prevent you from picking this organism, this bacteria, from one place to the other, because you may discover that you're not the only person that eat food in that area.
Food vendors, those are also medium by which people get that. Now, some of these food vendors, you are not sure of the quality and the purity of the water they use. And even the person preparing it, you don't know how their hygiene state is. So they just prepare the food, and then the food may not be stored properly.
News Central crew also visited the Mpape community And the situation is not different from the Federal Secretariat. We observed a massive heap of refuse dump, and we caught on camera people defecating openly.
People living in areas with poor sanitation, such as this one you're seeing, are mostly susceptible to cholera. As you're aware, flies are vectors, and when they perch on these particles, you cannot fathom how long they can travel to get your open water or food contaminated. Unfortunately, we are in the raining season, and whenever it rains, it can carry particles from this place to open water sources. And then when you fetch water from those sources, you can easily get infected. Now, if you look closely, houses around this area are just a few meters away from this dump site. And the big question is, what will become the hygiene of people living in this area? Where I am is called Mpape, a suburb of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Nigeria's capital.
There's this frequent practice we do, especially in some of the rural areas and suburban areas, where people defecate on farmlands and outside. Now, they do that during the dry season, and then the soil absorbs some of those, they dry, they decompose, and then during the rainy season, it's washed them down to streams, and then it goes down. Now, they can percolate the soil up to some of the wells or boreholes.
While cholera can lead to mortalities, experts say children are in danger of being affected.
Why are children more vulnerable to it?
Yes, because their immunity is low. Children and all age, that is all age people, they are more vulnerable because of their immunity is weak. It's not as strong as you as an adult, that you are more active. So they can easily go down with it. And moreover, children need fluid than you. So you discover that the worst thing that the cholera does is when you are passing out the stool, you are losing more of your ions and the fluid in the system. So you become dehydrated.
The situation on ground is not far from what is obtainable in other parts of the country where there have been reported cases and deaths. Available data says that in the last 4 years, about 4,364 people have died from cholera in the country, while another 139,730 Nigerians have been suspected to have been infected. Health experts have called on the Federal Capital Territory Administration to visit local councils in the capital and ensure the issue of waste management, open defecation, and access to clean water are tackled, especially as its neighboring Niger and Nasarawa states have recorded cases of cholera. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Oboman.
Thank you for staying tuned. The death toll from a series of brazen attacks on churches and synagogues in Russia's mainly Muslim region of Dagestan rose to 19 on Monday after gunmen went on the rampage in coordinated attacks in two of the republic's most important cities. The Caspian city of Makhachkala, about 125 kilometers north, gunmen with automatic weapons burst into an Orthodox church and a synagogue in the ancient city of Derbent, setting fire to an icon at the church and killing a 66-year-old Orthodox priest, Nikolai Ketolinkov. A total of 15 policemen and 4 civilians lost their lives, while 5 of the attackers were also killed. The Dagestan has announced 3 days of mourning. And for more on this, I'm joined by our international correspondent, Afia Hagen. Afia, can you give us some details to this attack?
Attacks that took place over the weekend, armed militants attacking 2 Orthodox churches, 2 synagogues and police officers across 2 cities. The counter-terrorism operation in response to these attacks, I've been told, has ended, but the number of victims remains unclear. Now, most of those victims are thought to be police officers. There is one priest thought to be amongst the victims as well. Now, earlier on, reports have suggested that 9 people have been killed and 25 injured, and that death toll is now rising as well. Attackers set fire to the synagogue after shooting and killing police officers guarding it. They killed the priest, who was the only confirmed victim before the death toll started to rise. The gunman also opened fire at a traffic police post, according to state media reports there as well.
But then, has any group taken responsibility yet?
Well, not yet. No group is taking responsibility for the attacks. Now, the attack on the Crocus Concert Hall that took place in Moscow earlier on this year, that was affiliated to ISIS-K, thought to be an offshoot of the ISIS organization that claimed 140 lives and was one of the most audacious terror attacks to take place in Russia in recent years. Now, it's thought that people think that there's gunmen with adherents of international terrorists to them. Like I said, the operational response to this has ended, but they are looking for sleeper cells. It's thought that there could be the involvement of sleeper cells there. Now, this mayhem, as it's being called, is highlighting long-running religious tensions in Russia, particularly in the southern Caucasus region, which includes Dagestan, which has a high Muslim population as well. A priest said that it was no coincidence that this attack took place on the day of Orthodox Christians where they observe Pentecost. Like I say, there is no details of the attackers, but there is inference that there could be other factions involved, Islamic State, possibly the Ukraine, and possibly the West as well. Like with the Crocus City Concert Hall attack, initially, Russia said without evidence that it could be the West or it could be the Ukraine. And those kind of rumors are flying around about this attack also.
Well, we understand that security in Russia is under scrutiny. I mean, could Russia's war with Ukraine be splitting their focus from homegrown security issues?
Well, it does seem that the war in Ukraine is having an effect on homegrown security, absolutely. Like I said, this took place in Dagestan, a region that does have a high Muslim population and has experienced high tensions because predominantly a lot of the people in that area have been drafted to fight in the war. And so they feel that they have perhaps been unfairly, disproportionately mobilized to fight. So you have that issue. But also the other war that's happening at the moment, Israel-Gaza, has meant that Jewish communities around the world and in Russia, therefore, have been under scrutiny and under attack. There was an attack in Dagestan earlier on this year where a plane that landed, which was full of Jewish people, was attacked. It was stormed in some sense as well. And so there is a feeling that that issue, the Israel-Gaza war, along with the spotlight being on the Ukraine war, along with these people being disproportionately mobilized to fight, means that homegrown security issues are mushrooming in Russia at the moment. The Jewish community, certainly, and the Christian community are definitely rattled by these attacks. But like I said, the claims are that these could be organized by foreign actors, whether that is Ukraine, ISIS, ISIS-K, or indeed the West.
Thank you so much for your correspondence, Afiya Hagen, our international correspondent. In business, the federal government's plans to eliminate estimated billing by the end of 2024 faces significant challenges, with 10% increase in its estimated billings customers reported for Q1 of 2024. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, customers on estimated billings rose from 5.83 million in Q1 2023 to 6.43 million in Q1 of 2024. Year on year, there is an 8% increase from 5.96 million in Q1 of 2023. Despite efforts to improve metering, only a 5% quarter-on-quarter increase in metered customers was achieved, from 5.61 million in Q4 2023 to 5.91 million in Q1 of 2024. Challenges persist due to financial, logistical, and regulatory hurdles impeding progress in closing the metering gap. After an illustrious 22-year career, Nigerian football icon Femi Thomas has announced his decision to hang up his gloves at the end of the season. The legendary shotstopper had an incredible 22 years in the NPFL and 24 years as professional player. Thomas has previously played for the likes of Enyimba FC, Kano Pillars, Rangers, Ocean Boys and Nasarawa United, among others. He won 2 league titles, 3 FA Cups, and has won last game with Abia Warriors in the President's Federation Cup final to add to his laurels.
Hello, my name is Ali Mesikelo. I'm using this opportunity to wish Femi Thomas a happy retired life. I wish him everything life after football has to offer. Cheers and good luck, cinema.
Yo, there's a big shout out to Femi Thomas. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate you for all the times we shared on the pitch, all the times I played against you. Thank you for all the memories and thank you for the love always. Thank you for the encouragement for the younger goalkeepers and everybody. You are a legend and we celebrate you.
The Springbok Sevens are relishing their qualification for the Paris Olympics but face a daunting reality after drawing New Zealand and Ireland in their pool following the Monaco repechage triumph. Due to their recent dip in form, reflected in lower seedings from the HSBC World 7 Series, they also contend with Japan. Tough competition spans all pools, with hosts France paired with defending champions Fiji in Pool C and Argentina, the current World Series title holders, up against Australia, Samoa and Kenya in another challenging group. Olympic seedings were based on combined points from the 2023 World 7 Series, SVNS 2024 and other tournaments. Despite interim coach Philip Sneeman's steady improvement, the Blitz books recognize they must elevate their game significantly to reach the medal rounds. And that's all on the news. But before we go, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Ousted local government chairman defy police order, stage protest in Rivers State. 15 members of Nigeria's House of Representatives call for the release of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. Floods and landslides kill 24 in Côte d'Ivoire's capital, Abidjan. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adejuba.